The next issue opens, where we see the powerless Spider-Man desperately attempt to flee the clutches of the train's conductor, who is hell-bent on making the man pay for not having his ticket. In sheer desperation, Peter jumped from one car to the next and slammed the door behind him to gain some time. Saying that he was safe, at least for now, Peter was soon met by another voice behind him. Except this time it was not another monster out to get him, it was a little girl named TJ, who also appeared to be a prisoner of this twisted train to hell. Comforting the child, Peter asked how she got here, where she said she could not quite remember, but was relieved to have an adult by her side, for she knew the way out and now had the confidence to escape. Making their way to the back of another car, TJ led Peter to a hatch which would lead underneath the train. Without his powers, Peter struggled to lift the heavy hatch, but soon succeeded, with TJ excitedly telling him that this was the way out. The concerned Spider-Man then told the girl that there was no way they could jump down, for the train was still in motion, and they would be easily crushed. Before he could even finish his sentence, Peter looked on in horror as TJ leapt down the hole, where he witnessed the young girl get swept away on the tracks below. Traumatized at what he just saw, Peter knew he had to find a way out. Finding his way to the freezer car, he thought perhaps there could be an exit through here, only for the horrors to continue, as he saw countless mutilated bodies of the train victims, all hung on flesh hooks as some sort of bizarre trophy of those who did not pay their fare. Before he could even process what he was seeing, Peter once again heard the infamous stomps of the conductor, who had returned to collect. Knowing he had to make one final stand, Peter saw an ice pick jabbed into one of the hanging legs, and then waited for the zombie man to open the door, where he then let out a savage cry and plunged the weapon right through the demon's eye. Despite his best efforts, the attack would not even faze the creature, who once again repeated the phrase that he needed a ticket for the train, where he then instantly pulled the pick out, revealing his pus-oozing wound underneath. Even though he no longer had the strength, Peter finally had enough and posed up to throw hands with the monster, where suddenly the train stopped, causing both men to lose their balance. Taking immediate advantage of this time, Peter burst through the door of the car and was able to find an opening to the outside, where he leapt into the dark and rainy streets of an unknown town. Having no clue if he was still being followed, Peter fled the train, where we then see a mysterious manor in the not-so-far distance. On his trek, Spider-Man then came across a disturbing sight in the muddied ground. Photos. A series of his friends such as J. Jonah Jameson, Mary Jane, and Aunt May, all seemingly being caged and tortured. Wondering just where his loved ones could be, Peter immediately knew the answer, as he followed the trail of pictures which led to the demented-looking house from Hades. Thinking back to when he had his powers, Peter reflected that he used to feel brave, but in this situation, he was quickly forgetting what bravery felt like. Summoning all the courage he could, Spider-Man's fear only amplified at the interior of the house, which had blood and bone strewn everywhere. Sensing that this house was alive and could feel his fear, Peter soon heard a voice calling out for help. Instantly springing into action, the hero went to aid, only for his mad dash to quickly be interrupted by shards of broken glass all over the floor, which tore into the soles of his feet. Without spider abilities to help heal from an injury like this, Peter had to suck up the pain and journey to help the tortured soul, leaving a trail of bloodied footprints all over the mansion floor. Finding the source of the sound, Peter was shocked to discover what it was. His former boss, J. Jonah Jameson, battered, bruised, and hung from the ceiling with a series of chains from a medieval-looking contraption. Helping the man down, Spider-Man went to get him out, only for Jonah to reveal that there were 2 more victims upstairs, who he was forced to hear scream for hours. Recognizing these voices immediately, Peter flew upstairs, where he discovered Aunt May and Mary Jane, too, were victims of this devilish game. Telling his family he was here to help, Peter calmed the women down and vowed that he would get them out of here. Instructing the trio to follow his lead, he immediately saw not all was as it seemed, as the people's bodies twisted and contorted with their eyes glowing, telling the young man in mocking demonic voices that they would follow him to the ends of the earth.